There's lake trout in here, so that's why I have those tip-ups set out. I actually have fatheads on those. So this is not a designated trout lake.
Why do you like it up here so much?
Oh, I love it up here just because of the peace and quiet. It's beautiful country.
People have been lined up and we're testing for nitrates. We can do screening for nitrates.
Funding for this program was provided by the Minnesota Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund, Safe Basements of Minnesota, your basement waterproofing and foundation repair specialist since 1990. Peace of mind is a safe basement. Grand Stay Hotels, featuring 35 hotels in 8 states and growing. Every guest, every time with Grand Stay. More on the web at grandstayhospitality.com. Diamond Willow Advanced Care Assisted Living, providing custom homes with smaller settings designed especially for high care needs. Live Wide Open, telling stories of why people have chosen to live wide open in West Central Minnesota. More at livewideopen.com. Western Minnesota Prairie Waters, quietly beautiful and wildly connected.
Northern Minnesota's Gunflint Trail is a 57-mile national scenic byway that winds through the Superior National Forest along the edge of the Boundary Waters canoe area. This historic roadway through the pristine wilderness offers an escape from the bustle of our daily lives. Dawn Walrath's family has been coming to the Gunflint since she was a child, and in February, she invited me to join her for trout fishing near her family's cabin. It's cold out. Temperatures are hovering below zero, and winds are gusting over 20 miles per hour. Dawn and I have a friendly bet going as to who will be outfished, and even before we're fully set up, she's caught the first trout of the day.
That one's got some really nice colors.
It's a nice little Gunflint Trail rainbow trout right there that, yes, we did catch on the table.
So yeah, we're just sitting in here. We're just getting started. It's real quiet, and Dawn doesn't say a thing. She just grabs her gloves. She's like, I'm just gonna go outside for a minute. Be right back. And then she takes off sprinting.
They kind of refer to me as a gazelle sometimes.
Now we know why.
There's lake trout in here, so that's why I have those tip-ups set out. I actually have fatheads on those. So this is not a designated trout lake here in the state of Minnesota. So if you're on a designated trout lake, you can only use one line, and you cannot use minnows. It's prohibited, live minnows. So that's the other reason why I like to come to this spot is you have so many different varieties of species that are in here, and the fact that it's not designated, I can have those tip-ups out with fathead minnows on, and then I can be in here jigging as well.
Today we're not very far offshore.
Nope.
I was surprised at how deep it got right away. We weren't too far away, and talk about where you like to set up in a situation like this. What are you looking for?
Well, you notice a lot of the lakes up here, when you look at a map, they're long and narrow. When the glaciers went through and carved everything out, everything has really steep sides on it, and they're very, very deep. Rainbow trout tend to run shallow. I like to sit anywhere from, I would say, 8 feet at the shallowest, down into about 14. 12 feet is kind of that sweet spot. And these rainbows just cruise through here. They're constantly on the move. That one that you thought was gonna bite your hook earlier, you'll notice just came in hot.
Yeah.
Just hot on the bait, just bam. And didn't like what you had, of course, because you didn't listen to me and put something totally different on, but that's okay. I'm one up. Let's see, now this is gonna be a semi-automatic.
Okay.
Dawn lives in the Twin Cities, and during the week you'll find her helping customers at Joe's Sporting Goods. The perfect occupation for a girl who grew up hunting and fishing.
When I grew up, I lived on the north side of Lake Waconia, out in the west metro of the Twin Cities. I have 3 older brothers, and both my mom and dad worked. So whatever my brothers did, I had to do. They were my babysitters. So I was so lucky to have a lake out in front of me and acreage with woods behind me. So there was so many times we'd be off in the woods, you know, either hunting or working on different forts, just playing out there. But then with that lake in front of us, we were able to just go sit on the dock or take our boat out and go out fishing. In the winter, we always had a fish house out there. My dad would work downtown Minneapolis. He would get up at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. My mom would get up with him and she would make his lunch and send him off to the cities for work. He'd work till about 3:30 in the afternoon, get home just as I was getting off the bus. But in that mid-afternoon, after Mom would go to work, Dad would work outside doing chores, and we'd have dinner together, and then it was, okay, let's go fishing. So my job was to head back to the woods and dig up the worms, and I'd come back with a tiny little, like Campbell's soup can full of worms, and depending on how much daylight was left, we would either go sit on the dock or we'd take the boat out and the 2 of us would just go fishing. Shoot, he was just looking at me.
I got so much interference now I can't tell if I got a fish anymore.
He's still down there.
It might have. Yeah, I can see it. Oh, can you? Oh, she got it. There it is. Just winging transducers at me. That'll weigh.
Oh, just a little guy, but yeah.
Heck yeah.
We got him. Beautiful fish. Look at the color on that thing.
Yeah,
Isn't that
for
something?
sure.
Aren't they gorgeous?
I love that darker color with that
I know.
purplish band through the middle. So Dawn, I've been using this small tungsten that I switched to. It's kind of an orangish, whitish, yellowish color.
Yep.
And I've read a few things about stocked trout, and people like to use a red color.
Right.
Do you do that up here at all?
You know, I've tried it, and that really hasn't produced for us up here. It's always been that kind of orange, pinkish, white color, a blend of that. And I think a lot of it has to do with the color of our water. You know, these are all bog-stained lakes up here with the tamarack trees, all the pine trees, all the acidity coming down. All these lakes have kind of a brownish root beer color to them. And it's reflected even in the fish. Like in the summertime when we're catching walleyes, the color on the walleyes are so dark,
Cool.
you know, and that vibrant gold on their bellies. Oh my gosh, it's just a stunning looking fish. And even up in here, you'll get some different rainbow trout through here, and lake trout for that matter, that are just a really, really dark color. So a lot of that comes from that water. So when you drop these different colors down, you know, what it looks like up here to us is going to look totally different to those fish. I went to college up in Ely at a junior college, and I started in forestry, and eventually I switched over to parks and recreation. I loved being around people. I loved being in the outdoors. I was very passionate about it. And my path changed a little bit in that when I was a junior in high school, I decided I was going to work at a resort in the summer. I loved being up north. We had vacationed up in northern Minnesota, up in Cook County for many years as a family. And I thought, you know, that's the place where I really want to be. I spent my summers up on the Gunflint Trail, up in Grand Marais. And I absolutely loved it. You were 30 miles from town, so virtually 30 miles from reality. Customers coming and going that you'd get to know over the years, a lot of return families. I was hired to clean cabins and maybe help out in the kitchen. And by the second year, not only was I doing those things, but I was also taking guided fishing trips. I backed up the fishing guide because I got to know the lake so well. I was helping clear cut a forest, doing maintenance, doing the yard work, all different kinds of things. So it was a wonderful learning experience for me.
What'd you cook us here, Dawn?
We're gonna have some ham and cheese sandwiches. Something I actually made them last night, but I figured for today it would just be quick and easy, just reheat it here in the fish house. So
Sure.
to me, that's one of the best things about being out on the ice. Super cold days, you just want something hot and warm in your stomach.
Oh, those smell amazing.
Isn't that something?
So
I know.
you said ham and cheese sandwiches. Those are not ham and cheese sandwiches.
Well, not exactly.
There's something more going on there.
No, not exactly. It's just an old family recipe. Very simple. Ham, Swiss cheese, a little Worcestershire sauce, some mustard, and then a bunch of different seasonings thrown on top. And bake in the oven. It's so convenient. And don't forget the butter. Right? A stick of butter on top. Oh my gosh.
How do you forget the butter?
Can't be beat. Woo-wee!
After lunch, we decided to brave the cold and try some new spots outside. With not much activity going on the South Shore, we moved to the opposing shore, where I finally got on the board in our fishing wager.
How's it feel? How's that been in your rod right now? Oh my gosh.
Ooh.
We got it.
Nice.
We got him. You
Yeah.
did it. That's a beautiful
That was
fish.
a nice fish.
Wow, look at that.
Look at
Isn't that great? Oh, nice
that
job,
rainbow
man.
right there.
So pretty.
It's 1-to-1, Dawn.
No, it's not.
1-to-1.
Ooh, I have two.
Dawn's parents purchased the Gunflint cabin that the family has enjoyed for more than 20 years after a chance visit to Grand Marais.
We had just had lunch, and for whatever reason, Mom and I decided to go into a real estate office. And an agent came over and asked, you know, what brings you in today, and do you have any questions on any of our listings? And Mom just kind of said, oh, we're just looking. And the agent said, well, I have a place that hasn't even been listed yet. You know, here's a photo and the description. It's a very beautiful piece of property. Maybe that would be of interest to you. And we reviewed it and looked at the photo and decided we need to see this in person. Viewed the property and this sweet little cabin, and we made an offer that afternoon. I'm sure it's not the souvenir they thought they were going to bring back from town, you know, from a trip to visit their daughter on the North Shore, but I was so thankful. That was just the ultimate thing for us as a family, was to have a place up in Grand Marais that we can all come to and share together and spend time together. We all go fishing. We do a lot of hunting up there, grouse hunting, a little bit of deer hunting. We also, for many years, when Minnesota had a state moose hunt, we applied. A brother and I were on one application, and my dad and another one of my brothers were on the second application. We finally get drawn after 13 years, and we were ecstatic. Little did I realize is the dates of the moose hunt corresponded with my honeymoon as I was getting married that year. I'm only gonna get married once. So I decided to go on my honeymoon, and I left my brother to hunt by himself. And so I distinctly remember sitting on the beach while on my honeymoon and getting a phone call from my brother David, who was my hunting partner. And he says, Dawn, because I got a moose. It's big, it's big. And he explained the whole story to me, and it ended up being a new state record in Minnesota, shot with a muzzle loader. I was so happy for him, and I went on my honeymoon. I think I made a good decision though.
Oh, I got a fish on me.
Ooh, zigging. How are we doing?
Got it. Oh, there we go.
Uh-oh.
That ties it up.
I think it does.
That ties it
I'm
up.
proud of you.
Oh, thanks, man.
I didn't think you had it in you.
Oh, what? It's coming up. It's with the rainbow. Yep. Nice one. Oh, yeah.
Beautiful fish.
Dawn's journey into sports retail was the result of quick thinking and a well-timed visit to her local sporting goods store.
I was done with college. My mother and I went to the local sporting goods store down where I grew up and walked in, and I was telling the owner about the last tournament I had done and how we had placed, how well everything went. And he says, well, that's great. What are you gonna do now? And out of nowhere, I just said, you know, I don't know. You took your help wanted sign down, as he had had a help wanted sign out the week before in his shop window. And I was surprised it came out of my mouth, and I think I caught him off guard. And he says, well, you know, we're still looking. We still need somebody. And a week later, I started working for him. I ended up here at Joe's Sporting Goods, downtown St. Paul. Joe's has been in business almost 90 years, just over 90 years, in fact. And I didn't realize this till my very first day, but I was the first female that they hired in their hunting and fishing department. A lot of people would come in, and of course they want to wait for one of the gentlemen behind the counter, and the guys will just say, oh, no, Dawn can help you. You know, Dawn can get that. And you'd turn around and you'd grab that particular shotgun or that pistol and check your action and present it to the gentleman and say, you know, here you are, and you go through the different features of it. And all of a sudden it's like, oh, you know, maybe I will be okay. He says, maybe she does know what's happening. If you look at the different market research that's happening, females within the hunting and fishing industry is the #1 growing category. There are so many women getting into these sports and getting into these activities that it's growing at a rapid pace.
I think I'm maybe most surprised to learn about how often you're just out on the ice in the winter in conditions like this by yourself chasing these fish.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very lucky. I'm fortunate that I have the life that I do, and I'm able to come up here as often as I do.
Why do you like it up here so much?
Oh, I love it up here just because of the peace and quiet. It's beautiful country. We see moose as we come up the Gunflint. There's eagles, there's wolves, fox, lynx that we've seen. But it's just so quiet and peaceful. It's almost like a way to just decompress, just rejuvenate, and just be out in nature. It's hard to beat.
Only 1 in 6 homeowners actually test their well at the recommended frequency level.
Which of these aquatic plants is native to Minnesota and which is invasive? The answer is coming up right after this. Minnesota is blessed with vast resources of land, water, forest, and grasslands that natural resource managers work hard to protect. But what can you and I do to make a difference? It's called Conservation DIY. In Minnesota, 472,000 homes and farms get their water from private wells. But less than 1/4 are tested for harmful chemicals like nitrates and arsenic. Public health officials caution that if you own a private well, find out what is coming out of your kitchen tap.
$1.2 million people in Minnesota drink well water from their private wells. And they're not protected by the same types of laws and testing and sampling and safety issues that cities have. It's our own wells, it's our own plumbing, our own water treatment system, and it's all up to us.
The nonprofit Minnesota Well Owners Organization was launched in February of 2018 to advocate for private well testing.
We are the first and only group that represents well owners. We're the only one in the country.
Last year, the Rochester-based nonprofit offered 5 water screening clinics in southeast Minnesota and plans to expand to other regions.
Today, we have a free testing clinic here at the Rochester Area Foundation. People have been lined up and we're testing for nitrates. We can do screening for nitrates and give them an instantaneous test with a very high quality water testing equipment from a lab at Olmsted County Public Health Department. If they're over 3 parts per million nitrates, we advise that they do the full test through the county lab, the $42 or $50 test that tests for nitrates, tests for chlorides, it tests for sulfate, a variety of other things, including arsenic. Many people fear, well, somebody's going to come and condemn our wells. And that's just not true. That doesn't happen in Minnesota. We don't report the results to anybody. This is your own data. We're only concerned about your own health and safety with your own water.
The Southeastern Minnesota Water Analysis Laboratory in Rochester is one of 35 accredited labs in Minnesota. Primarily, they serve country churches, food manufacturers, farm dairies, and others who have regulated wells that must be tested for bacteria and nitrates annually.
But homeowners, on the other hand, they aren't required to do testing, but it's in their best interest to do that. The research in the last 1 to 2 decades suggests a really strong relationship between consuming nitrates in drinking water and colon cancer, thyroid disease, and neural tube defects.
The Rochester lab provides walk-in or mail-in test kits and prepaid mailing labels. Results are back within 2 days.
The recommendation is that homeowners should test their well for bacteria once a year and for the nitrates every 2 to 3 years. Only 1 in 6 homeowners actually test their well at the recommended frequency level. With the tests that we get, the water samples that we get for bacteria, about 29% of those that first time are positive. If you have E. coli bacteria in your drinking water, that can cause gastrointestinal illness, and nobody wants that either. When a homeowner does have their well test positive for bacteria, we refer them to the guidelines from the Minnesota Department of Health on how to disinfect a well.
Minnesota has 6 groundwater provinces, and each has unique water quality issues. Dissolved rock karst landscapes feature sinkholes and conduits to the water table that make southeast Minnesota and parts of the Twin Cities susceptible to surface pollutants like nitrates, which are also found at higher levels in agricultural areas.
Nitrates are from the surface, so whatever on the surface, if nitrates are in your drinking water, we should assume that other things are in your drinking water, pesticides or other contaminants that are at the surface. And so really nitrate also becomes an indicator of things that are maybe even more dangerous.
Metro area groundwater can also be contaminated by industrial chemicals that companies such as 3M will treat free of charge.
Northeast and Northwest both have a common arsenic problem. About 1 in 7 wells has arsenic in it. Testing has shown that it's a real health risk for lung cancer, bladder cancer, a whole series of things that shorten people's lives. A compound that's easy to treat if you test it. Some forms of arsenic, a water softener, will take care of that. And these things can be treated. You can use a carbon filter to get rid of pesticides and a reverse osmosis to get rid of nitrates. A whole house reverse osmosis system with carbon filters is $3,500. And there's low interest loan programs across the state of Minnesota. Water treatment is really much more affordable than people think. And it really is the best solution instead of drilling new wells. New well costs are $10,000 to $50,000 depending how deep they are.
In many states, anyone can dig a private well. But in Minnesota, well drillers must be licensed and certified. Water treatment providers certified by the Water Quality Association carry the WQA label, and most county health departments provide well water testing, either in their own lab or a commercial lab.
But make sure that we know that we're serving good water to our kids and our grandkids and all of our family, and that the people we know all have safe drinking water at home.
Which of these aquatic plants is native to Minnesota and which is invasive? The invader is A. Curly leaf pondweed. How do we tell the invasive from the native pondweed? Native clasping leaf pondweed leaves are wide and wavy. They don't have distinct teeth like curly leaf pondweed. The leaves of native pondweed clasp around the stem. The invasive plant's leaves do not. Curly pondweed also produces turions that look like small greenish-brown pine cones. Why is it a problem? Curly pondweed's dense mats are not suitable habitat for native wildlife, and it outcompetes native aquatic plants. The invasive plants die midsummer and litter our shorelines. Where is curly pondweed in Minnesota? The invasive plant is found in waters up to 15 feet deep throughout Minnesota. We can stop these invaders from infesting more lakes and streams by cleaning up everything we pull out of the water. It's a simple drill. Clean in, clean out. Before leaving a water access, clean your boat and water equipment. Remove and dispose of all plants and aquatic species in the trash. Remove drain plugs from your boat, drain bilge, live well, and bait containers, and keep them out when transporting your watercraft. Dispose of unwanted bait in the trash. If you have been in infested waters, also spray your boat with high-pressure water. Rinse with very hot water. Dry for at least 5 days. Stop the spread of AIS. Funding for this segment was provided by the Aquatic Invasive Species Task Forces of Wright, Meeker, Kandiyohi, Yellow Medicine, Lac-qui Parle, and Big Stone counties. Funding for this program was provided by the Minnesota Environment and Natural Resources Trust Fund, Safe Basements of Minnesota, your basement waterproofing and foundation repair specialist since 1990. Peace of mind is a safe basement. Grand Stay Hotels, featuring 35 hotels in 8 states and growing. Every guest, every time with Grand Stay. More on the web at grandstayhospitality.com. Diamond Willow Advanced Care Assisted Living, providing custom homes with smaller settings designed especially for high care needs. Live Wide Open, telling stories of why people have chosen to live wide open in West Central Minnesota. More at livewideopen.com. Western Minnesota Prairie Waters, quietly beautiful and wildly connected.